$10,000, 6 chains. One question: which protocol on which rollup? Most L2 guides skip the protocol layer. They tell you Arbitrum has low fees. They don't tell you where on Arbitrum to put capital. They don't tell you why GMX V2 lives there, why Aerodrome owns Base, or why L2 DeFi looks different from Optimistic-rollup DeFi. Pick the wrong layer and your highest yield quietly becomes your slowest exit. I'm Rachel from ChainSense. In the next 5 minutes, the DeFi specialization of each L2, the zk DeFi reality, a $10,000 allocation across 6 chains, and one principle that decides which rollups deserve real capital. Every L2 has a DeFi niche. The chain isn't competing on TVL, it's competing on which workflow it runs best and which one its liquidity actually trusts. Arbitrum is perpetuals territory. GMX V2 sits at the center. The V1 exploit in July 2025 was painful. V2 inherits those hard lessons. Camelot dominates spot DEX. Aave handles lending, billions in TVL across the L2 deployment. If you trade perps with real size, you're on Arbitrum. Optimism is governance and synthetic markets. Synthetix V3 with its debt pool architecture is the headline product. Aave is here too. Uniswap moved native liquidity to Aero. If you want exposure to Synthetix or vote in the most mature L2 DAO. Optimism is the chain. Base is retail onboarding. Aerodrome, now part of Aero after the Q2 2026 merger with Velodrome, owns the spot DEX layer. Coinbase's direct app integration brings retail traffic that no other L2 has. If your audience came from Coinbase, your DApp is on Base. 3 optimistic rollups, 3 DeFi specializations, not competition, specialization. L2 DeFi looks different. The TVL is smaller. The liquidity is shallower. The protocols are newer. And that's not a weakness. It's where DeFi DAOs are testing their next move. On zkSync, SyncSwap is the dominant native DEX, spot-focused, built for zk exit speed. On Starknet, Akubo runs concentrated liquidity. Jedi Swap covers broader spot. Both lean into Starknet's native account abstraction, features that don't exist cleanly on EVM L2s, smart contract wallets, social recovery, gasless transactions. These aren't bolt-ons, they're protocol features. Linea's DeFi ecosystem is the newest of the 3 zk rollups. Native Yield, introduced in late 2025, earns base layer yield on every ETH bridged. Protocols build on top of it rather than competing with it. Here's the catch most allocators miss. zk DeFi has smaller pools, but it has bigger lessons. The patterns DeFi DAOs prove on Starknet today are the patterns the optimistic rollups absorb next year. Smaller pools, bigger lessons. That's the zk DeFi reality in 2026. $10,000 across 6 chains. Here's how to think about it. $3,000 on Arbitrum, perpetuals via GMX V2, real perps capital where liquidity and tooling are most mature. If you don't trade perps, this slot goes to Aave on Arbitrum. $2,000 on Optimism, Aave for stable lending. Optimism's DeFi mix is mature. The yield isn't headline grabbing, but the security model is well tested. $3,000 on Base, Aerodrome-now-Aero for spot DEX exposure. Base's TVL trend is up. The Coinbase user funnel matters. Aero capturing cross L2 liquidity matters more. $2,000 on zk Exploration. Pick zkSync via SyncSwap or Starknet via Akubo. Small position, learning capital, not portfolio anchor. The chain decides what your capital can do. The protocol decides how well. And before you place a single dollar, ask yourself the question this cluster is built around. Whose bad week can my capital survive? That answer is your portfolio's foundation, not the yield screenshot. This isn't a recommendation to copy. It's a framework. Adjust the percentages. Don't adjust the principle. L2. DeFi is 6 different ecosystems, not 6 different versions of the same thing. Arbitrum runs perps. Optimism runs governance. Base runs retail onboarding. zkSync and Starknet run experiments. Your yield comes from a protocol. The protocol lives on a chain. The chain decides the security model, the exit path, the data availability. Pick the chain whose security model fits the capital you're deploying. Don't pick the chain whose yield looks highest this week. That's how capital ends up trapped on chains it shouldn't have been on. Yield comes and goes. Roll-up architecture compounds for years. The capital you deploy this year lives or dies based on which chain you choose to deploy it on. It's not the yield, it's the roll-up beneath it. Subscribe to ChainSense. I'm Rachel. See you in the next one.